with the SLEAD team that you're seeing here on the screen. We're going to spend the next 2 hours together. Hello, we can wave, and I'm going to share the screen. Good, so welcome again to our training. And we're going to start the presentation with presenting the trainers, which are going to lead this first webinar, but also some of the next webinars that are coming. And let's do this shortly by welcoming them to the room. You also can identify them as the butterfly people. Good, so I will start first. I'm on the screen. I'm Maria, and I'm coming from New Horizons Foundation, Romania. Welcome to the training. And now I'll give the floor to Andreea, also from Romania.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andreea, also from New Horizons, Romania. Happy to be here with you today. Thank you.
And then I give the floor to Lena.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lena. I work with the Foundation Service Learning through civic engagement, and we are the project partner in Germany, based in Berlin.
Thank you, Lena. And now we go to Felix.
Hello, also from my side. I'm a colleague of Lena, also based in Berlin, in the very central of Berlin, and it's just great to see you all.
Good to see you, Felix. And of course, I give the floor to the lady with the buttons, who's making everything possible, Ale.
Hello, I'm Ale. I'm from Romania, and I'm colleague with Maria and Andrea.
Good. This is us behind the screens and the buttons, and some other colleagues might be during the meeting. We say hello to them, also if they are participants. And then we can go next to the presentation. Let's see what's next. Now that you met us, I'll also give the floor to Ale to present us some technical things.
Yes, sorry. I'm still press the button to let me people. It's nice to see you, and I just want to quickly remind you some stuff Maria already told you. Please rename yourself so we can see everybody from which country is it. If you're comfortable, please use the camera and keep your microphone on mute. If you want to see something, you can write in the chat, or you can use reactions and just raise a hand if you have something really important to say. Please avoid multitasking so you can connect with us and really understand what my colleagues will tell you. Keep your eye on us so you will see everything and hear everything. Prepare questions. You can let them in the chat. And let's go to the next slide.
Yes, so related to the question in the chat, it's important for you to address questions. Some of them we might be able to address it now, but some of them Ale is going to collect them and also address it in the next webinar, which is also called Understanding Service Learning Part 2. So the purpose of this first webinar is just to go into introduction into the service learning for democracy. And of course, there are 10 webinars and more details are going to be tackled in other 10 meetings. Good. We're going to use also some digital tools.
We will use Zoom for seeing each other and talk. We will use Menti, so we will have some exercise. Because we are not together, we cannot make play together or do so much stuff in the Zoom, but we will use Menti, you will see soon. And we will use the Lena platform on which you will enter and go to the course about service learning.
More about this is coming later. Good, and now I would like to actually give the floor to Felix, who is also the project coordinator of the SLEAD project. So for him to introduce us a little bit into the training.
Yeah, thank you. Just a few words about our project and our aim. You might have read a little bit about our project already before registering. So just to remind you, our focus in this project is to unlock the potential of service learning to strengthen democratic competences of students, meaning that it's not just about knowledge, but also about skills and critical understanding and also values. So the competences you actually need to be an active citizen in a democratic society. So this is the main goal of this project, to use service learning, this approach of formal education, to support democratic competences. We have 3 modules, and you're in the first one right now at the very beginning. And in the first module, we will talk a little bit more about service learning in general, and you will have the opportunity to engage in discussions on service learning and perhaps even share experiences. And in the second module, we will have an even more specific focus on how to strengthen democratic competences with the approach of service learning. And in the third module, we kind of have a buffet with several topics varying from several subjects to several goals, and also some seminars tailor-made for specific target groups, such as school directors. This course is designed for beginners and advanced service learning practitioners, but also for school directors or school leaders, civil society workers, as well as university students. And the idea is also to have a course which is possible for you to attend according to your needs. So we will have these live seminars, which are of great value because we can also get to know each other a little bit, but then you also have the availability to learn on a learning platform very independently. We were actually overwhelmed by the interest in our training program. This is really honest. We expected that service learning spurs a lot of interest, but we received actually more than 360 applications for this training program, which is of great joy for us. And we had the idea to invite you to now perhaps raise your hand when hearing your country. Probably not all countries listed here are represented, and probably there are also some countries represented which are not part of the list. But we had, or we welcome participants from Portugal, from Germany, from Austria, from Romania, and from Greece. These 5 countries are actually the countries where our partner organizations of this project actually are located. But then we also received very happily registrations from Italy, Brazil, Uganda, Spain, Albania, Poland, Timor-Leste, again Uganda, then France, Kenya, Zambia, Belgium, the UK, Israel, Russia, Sri Lanka, Cabo Verde, Bahrain, Turkey, and probably some countries which we couldn't actually identify in the registrations. So very warm welcome again from our side. It's so great to have you here. And if you've ever wanted to meet someone from, let's say, Belgium or Zambia, this is your chance in this training program. This just gives you an impression of who is present. We actually received registrations from teachers, school directors, educational counselors, civic society workers, policymakers, students, researchers. But most of our participants, not surprisingly, are teachers, and 85% of them working in lower and higher secondary level of school education, but also 15% from primary education and even kindergarten. And we are here together with teachers and educators from several subjects, like STEM subjects, social sciences, arts, you name it. So there's a great diversity here in this room, and this is something we appreciate a lot, because service learning is not limited to a certain educational level or a specific subject, and not even to a certain region. So welcome again from Berlin, and now back to you, Maria.
Okay, thank you so much, Felix, for introducing the context of our training. I will invite participants with the raised hand to lower the hand, so we don't confuse you later with having a question. And shortly I will present the agenda. We are still in the introduction part. We're going to have a get to know each other exercise, as much as we can get to know each other in a group of more than 130 people. And then we're just going into the topic of service learning. Why service learning, and what is service learning? Sorry. Then we're going to discover some service learning project examples. And I know there are many people in the room who already are doing service learning, then they might have really good examples. Then we're going to look into something which is very important for the methodology, is service learning quality standards. After this, we're going to have a 10 minutes short break for drinking some water or some coffee. And after the break, we're going to have a practical exercise, and we're going to discuss what would be the main questions, which is starting a service learning project. And we're going to go through the steps of the service learning project. The session is going to be end up with how we're going to have the self-study phase, which is going to come after that. And more of these details or topics are going to be tackled in the rest of the 9 webinars which are going to follow. And of course, we're going to close the meeting with a short evaluation. Good. Ready for a get to know each other? Make me a sign if you're ready. Good. For this one, we're going to use the application. Maybe some of you already used it. It's called Mentimeter. So if you have a phone, or also you can open a new tab on your computer, you need to go on menti.com, as you see it on the screen, and you are required to introduce a code. The code, you also receive it by chat, but it's what you see on the screen. It's 27340942, and you need to let us know where are you coming from. Are you from an European country, meaning geographically, or you are from an other country in the world? Just to somehow prepare our hands for thinking. So you go on menti.com, open a new tab, or from your telephone, introduce the code on the screen, 27340942, and let us know if you are from an European country or you're from other countries of the world. I still remember that we had also Uganda and Kenya. So let's see how many participants are from other countries of the world. We're taking 20 more seconds for you to... Ale, how many participants are we in total?
142.
142. That's great. So until now, we have 73 who tried. This is also a good exercise because we're going to use Mentimeter also a little bit later. If it's not clear how to do it, I will say it again. Go to menti.com, introduce the code that you can see on the screen and just select the country you are coming from. So right now we have 78 people from European countries and 4 people from other countries on the world. Okay, good. I'll go to the next question because now we're learning how to use the Mentimeter in the same time. Okay, 6 more just arrived. Okay, now we have a percentage, 94% European countries, 6% from other countries of the world. And this is a hard exercise, energizer for your brain and your hand. So this is the map of the world, also in Mentimeter with your finger or with your mouse. Try to position your finger or your mouse, where are you coming from? Just to see how the map becomes blue like the SLEAD logo. Oh, interesting. My daughter will really love this game, to do something with her finger on the phone, for sure. It's a good kids game. Ooh, European, the number became bigger than Europe. Good, we see some South America. And we also see from Africa. Ooh, it looks very nice. Good. This deserves a print screen. Good, you're managing very well. The map looks pretty well. Let's go now to the next game. Okay, are you an educator in a school or you have other job like civil society worker, researcher, or any other job? We already know from Felix that 85% of you are teachers in the schools, but let's see how is in reality with people who are actually here with us today. Wow, so many people from other jobs. That's great. Good. 64% educators, 36% from other jobs. You're doing it very well. And the last one, which is more simple, if you have experience with service learning, like if you practice or you've been involved in the service learning before, no matter how big or small the experience, or if it's your first experience with service learning, or you had no experience until now. You're becoming faster and faster with Mentimeter, I can see. Good. Very well, very well. That means that the training is going to be, we hope is going to be very relevant for the ones who didn't have yet experience with service learning methodology, but we are so happy to have the people who had the experience, because during the 10 webinars, we have the chance to get inspired by the ones who already practice it, and they can walk the talk in service learning. Or I don't know if it's correct, but you got it. But I mean, okay, good. I will skip the last one because we kind of noticed from the map where it's cold. In Europe, I imagine it's cold, but then we have some countries in Africa and maybe South America, which is maybe warmer. But yes, cold is much. It's freezing in Romania where I am right now. Good. Now that you prepared your brain for the content, let's see what motivates us, yes? Because many of you write a recommendation, not letter, but when you fill the application, you write why you want to be here. I give the word to Lena to summarize why most of us want to be here.
Yes, you remember we asked you when you registered for this SLEAD online training program what your motivation is. And here's a quick overview of the answers we received from you. So many of you are here before they want to improve teaching and bring innovation to school. You are also looking for practical tools and skills and on how to implement service learning in school. You also want to enhance students' knowledge of democracy and increase their motivation for relevant education. Yeah, you also told us that you were looking for or are looking for inspiration on how to train teachers in service learning methodology, and that you intend to make service learning an integral part of the school curriculum. Many of you also want to expand knowledge of democracy, education. There was also mentioning of how to connect. So this is about for many of you about finding also maybe international service learning partners, have the opportunity to exchange on experiences with other participants regarding service learning, and to become a part of a community of service learning passionate practitioners. Yes, and well, it's also about personal and professional growth for some of you. So just a quick overview, and we thank you so very much for sharing these insights with us. And let me say that, well, your motivation motivates us, I would say. So let's move on.
Thank you, Lena. Good. Now I think we are ready to go into the content, yes, because this was the introduction and short getting to know each other. Good, I want to see your faces. Are we still here with us? Make a sign. You're awake? Good. People are still joining. We are 147 participants now. And I will start the presentation. Good, going into the context. Why service learning and what is service learning? Just 1 second. I'm sharing the screen right now. First screen. Okay, can you see? Okay, good. So I'm sure that many of you heard about this term VUCA and the why service learning. It's about, we're going to go a little bit into the content of the 21st century learning competencies. And we all know that our time, as we see and feel, is marked by positive and rapid development, some of them positive, some of them not necessarily positive, but also is marked by increasing global problems and challenges such as climate change, social inequalities, pandemic, and rapid transformation. I am sure all of us can feel it. In the last years, I don't know, the time is changing and so many challenges are appearing. And we know that what we call it that we live in a VUCA world. It's an acronym that describes our present world as being volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And in this VUCA world, this makes us wonder what sorts of knowledge, skills, or character strengths are relevant in this world for our society, but also for our kids, so they can lead a happy and successful life. I think we all want to live a happy life. And this is the main question: what we can do in this VUCA world, what is relevant for the education? And this question is something that, for example, in Romania, in 2018, we made a small research and we asked students, what do they want from school? And it's very interesting what the students were saying. And they are saying that what they want from school is to be able to discuss how theoretical content can be applied in a day-to-day life. They also want from school to relate what is proposed for learning to real life situation in the community they are actually living right now. And also what they want from school is to work on concrete application on the topics that they are discussing in the classroom so they can solve current problems and events. And I'm sure that many of you are relating with that. And I'm sure many of you heard this from the students, that they want things to be more relevant for the day-to-day life they are living. Is it true? Make a sign. Yes, we believe that is true. Also, I'm going to the next slide. Moving the images because I can also see the text. Current educational frameworks that you probably are familiar with it, such as OECD Learning Compass 2023 or Deeper Learning and 21st century skills or future skills aim to provide somehow answers to this question. What is relevant for education? And even though there might not be unique answers or unique methodology to find the answers for this question, I think most of us can agree that is more important than ever that children and young people learn how to take action in their local community in a meaningful real life context, while embracing the complexity of the world we are living in. I don't know, I'm looking at myself and I know how my life it was when I was a kid, and I'm looking at my kids and I see how complex life is, and life it's very different. And we strongly believe that we need to prepare our kids to this complexity of life. And if this would be possible, this would be a good chance to empower these kids to lead a more confident life, to be more self-assured and have a more meaningful life where they feel they can belong to the community, because the community is the place where they're living day by day. And they would become more capable to somehow address these complex problems as soon as possible. And this is where service learning is coming into play, because we believe that service learning is the methodology which is empowering the youngsters and the kids to live this confident and meaningful life. And of course, we're going to the question, okay, what is service learning and why service learning is one methodology we strongly recommend to adapt ourselves to this VUCA world. And I'll give the word to Felix for that.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. Just very roughly at this point. So what is service learning? You will learn more about service learning in the self-learning phase. You might have read a little bit. Some of you have experience already. And also in the second seminar, we will dive deep into this question. So now just a very broad overview. Service learning is a competence-focused form of teaching and learning. And it always combines curricular learning, so subject-specific learning, with civic engagement. This is important to remember and to keep in mind, because some people, you might experience it in your school when talking about service learning, that people might think it's just about having a nice charitable project, doing something for the good. But this is not service learning. Service learning is always the combination of civic engagement by students and curricular learning. But service learning projects can be very diverse. It could be a social project, a cultural project, an ecological project, for example, against pollution in a river or something. It can also be political, or any relevant topic which comes into the mind of your students, but it's always something for the good of a person or a group of persons or society. Service learning projects can be carried out in analog or also in digital formats. They are not limited to direct work in the community, in a village or a city or the neighborhood, but they can be there. They can also be on a broader context, and they can be more direct, helping the elderly, for example, in a retirement home. But they can also be more indirect, for example, composing a song to promote human rights. This might also be an example for an advocacy project. They can be implemented in a couple of weeks, or preferably also over a longer period. But it's not something a teacher proposes just for a couple of hours or for one day. It has several stages, which we will get to know, and is something which will last for at least weeks. Mm-hmm. And I will only very short tell you about the history of service learning. Service learning as an approach of formal education is based on the ideas of the American educator and philosopher John Dewey. Some of you might have heard about him. And nowadays it's being implemented on all continents of the world, in all types of schools, also at universities. in all grades and in all subjects.
Mhm.
And now back to you, Maria.
Good. We're still in the framing and trying to understand where service learning fits into the concept of experiential learning. And we're going to talk a little bit about service learning and project-based learning, because we are sure that many of you heard about project-based learning. And we also have a graphic here on the screen, which is saying that service learning as methodology, it's an experiential type of methodology, which is also part of project-based learning as a bigger umbrella, because service projects include projects. So I will explain now what would be the difference between PBL or project-based learning and service learning. Both methodologies, which are very close connected, ask students to solve real problems. This is one important element to remember. Both methodologies invite students to explore their interests, to ask relevant questions, to reflect, to engage in survey, research, and reflection. And both methodology invite students to find solution and share solution for a certain target group. Yes, either community or a genuine audience. If both methodology have these three elements in common, let's see what is the difference, yes, between these two. And I'll give some example of what could be project-based learning. And while I'm presenting, if some of you identify that you're doing already project-based learning, just raise your hand so we see how many people are doing already project-based learning. So PBL project, thank you, Julia. So Julia is already doing, also Leah is doing project-based learning, also Maria, that's great. So here are some examples. Developing an application in a computer science class. Yes, students are working on that. Or planning a garden in the school in the biology class. Or creating a business plan in an entrepreneurship education class. Or maybe researching and doing a family tree in the social education class. Or rethinking democracy in civic education or in history class, like simulating a democratic process. All this is project-based learning. The difference between project-based learning and service learning is given by the fact that service learning project involves direct action, which is led by the students, planned by the students in real communities, so it's not simulated. Certain communities selected to be the community. A service learning project address a real community issue, and the students themselves are actually implementing the service learning project, trying and having a real impact in the community. And I also put it there, the now, because service learning project is about now, is about capacitating students to identify these problems in the community and address them now. And I'm sure that many of you heard this affirmation that we're preparing the children, we're preparing the students for future. But what is different in service learning is that we're preparing the students to act now, to learn now. And if they are ready now, for sure they are going to be prepared for the future. So this would be somehow the difference from project-based learning and service learning. And to have more clarity on that, we have some examples of service learning. So we're taking the same examples from project-based learning, and we're adding something extra in service learning. Let's see, developing an application in the computer science class. It was a project-based learning idea, and this can become a service learning project idea if this application that the students are developing in the class, they actually use it, for example, for a community volunteering center, like a volunteer matching platform. Yes? So it's not that they are planning it, designing the research, they actually are using this application in real context. Or planting a community garden in a biology class. In the PBL project-based learning, it was planning or designing let's see, the garden. But in service learning, they actually do it. They do it in practice with their hands, and they're also involving the local community. So they are doing the project with the community. In this case, let's imagine they are doing this garden to be used by the seniors in the community. Also, for example, creating a business plan in entrepreneurship education. It was a very good project-based example, But in service learning context, they are actually implementing this business plan. So I'm giving some example. If they are doing a business plan with selling cookies, like the scouts are doing in American movies, I'm saying something which is very familiar maybe for most of us. They're actually doing the cookies and selling the cookies, and they see what it means to create the recipe, to make a marketing plan, to convince people, to gather the money, to manage the money. Or another example, like a social entrepreneurship type of service learning project would be, this is something which is very familiar for us in Romania. Students organize, for example, treasure hunt in local communities for tourists. So they need to design this treasure hunt, to promote it, to sell it, to actually do it. This would be, let's see, the difference and what between project-based learning and service learning, and what service learning brings extra to the table. So I would like you to maybe to have some reactions. If you feel you understand the difference between project-based learning and service learning, make a sign from reactions. If it's okay, do like this, so we know that is clear. Good. I also didn't, the last affirmation there is rethinking democracy in civic education or history classes. I didn't transform it necessarily in a service learning project. I let it there because I want to underline that democratic competencies, of which we're going to talk more in the webinar 3, they are tackled in any service learning project, because for any service learning project, youngsters or students need to initiate, take decision, negotiate, organize, become active citizens. So no matter if the project is on entrepreneurship topic or building community garden or making a computer science application, they are somehow going through a democratic process in real life. Good. I saw some hands were raised. If you have questions, you can also put it in the chat and we'll come back to it. Good. We are still in the part of trying to differentiate between service learning projects and other types of approaches. And it's important to understand the difference between these, because this will bring more clarity when we're implementing service learning projects. So as you see in this graphic on the screen, a service learning project is at the intersection of two needs. The students need to learn what they're learning in the classes, for example, and the need of the community to be supported. So you can see on the graphic, for community, we have plus, and for learning, we have minus and plus. What is amazing on service learning is when you're designing and supporting your youngsters to do a service learning project, the project it's also focused on the community need, as is also focused on what the students are learning while they're tackling the community need, which is not the case on other types of methodologies, which doesn't mean that other methodologies are not good. They are good, but it's important for us as educators to see the magic that it is coming through the service learning project. And here is the difference. So I already explained that service learning project is on plus on learning, tackling also learning and community. Project-based learning is very much focused on what the students are learning, but not so much learning on the change that is provided to the community right now. Yes, because in the project-based learning, the students somehow think for the future, but not necessarily acting right now. Also, the difference between service learning and volunteering is that when we're doing volunteering, we are very much focused on the change that we're doing to the community, but not necessarily focusing so much on reflection processes to see what we're learning while we're doing the volunteering. And here down, it could be other categories, which we called it not necessarily unsustainable community actions. And here we could have charity. And about charity, we know that charity is good. Charity is important in critical situations like pandemic, floods, any crisis, when we all need to come together and raise, for example, money to have direct intervention. But in this situation like charity, let's say it's an unsustainable community action because it's not so much focused on the learning, because there's not necessarily any reflection directly coordinated or facilitated. And the support of the community is happening, but it's not as big. It's just a short intervention. And also is not necessarily sustainable because the beneficiaries, when you're donating or we're raising money, for example, we're helping right now, but we're not capacitating necessarily the beneficiaries to take the power from inside and make the change for themselves. We're not saying that charity is not good. Charity is good, is necessary, but we're explaining this just for us to understand what's the difference. And maybe many of you are doing volunteering projects in the school, and now it's a moment for you to ask yourself how I can transform my volunteering project in a service learning. Maybe some of you, you're already doing project-based learning, and the question is, what can I do to make my project-based learning to transform it in a service learning project, which is also project-based learning, but is more rich. And we'll identify in other webinars why it's more rich. Or how can I transform a very nice charity type of action into a service learning project? Because we just need to add some components. So somehow service learning is like the upgrade of the intervention that we can have for our students, so we can both enrich the learning part, but also do a relevant service for the local community. Okay, I will stop now and I'll give the words to Andrea so she can explain you this in 2 concrete examples. Andrea, you have the floor.
Thank you, Maria. Hello, everyone. So I'll give you 2 examples of service learning projects. Both of them are from Romanian practice. The first is from students from secondary or gymnasium. So what did these students did in the chemistry class? So they connected with the chemistry subject in the school. These students learn about the consequences of the chemical processes on the environment and process carbon footprint data in the form of tables, of charts, and then observing these trends over the last 20 years. So this was the theory part. Then they went into their school, their community, and investigated how their food is packaged in their school. How many students are buying prepackaged food, and how many students are bringing their own food from home in reusable casseroles. They find out about the chemical composition of each type of packaging and how long it takes to degrade and what is the impact on the environment. But it wasn't all, they didn't stop here. So this was the theory part. They had the information, they did some research in their school, and they moved forward. They create a video convincing their colleagues to give up plastic wrapped food, convincing the management in the school to install drinking water fountains on each floor in the school, and convincing a farm to take over the leftovers from we have a national program called Bedrolls and Milk, where kids get as a lunch, so to speak, a box of milk and the bedroll, but not all of them are eating it, so most of them is wasted in the school. So they convinced the farm to take these leftovers and use it for their animals and so on. So they find out about all these chemical process, all this impact in the environment and so on, but they didn't stop there. Okay, they had the information, they did some research within their school, and they did something, they acted. Okay, they did a service for the community, the school community. Okay, this is an example of students from the secondary, and we have another example from the high school students. They connected the Romanian language and literacy with the history, and they did a service learning project starting from here. They studied in the school a novel, a Romanian novel. It's called The Hanged Man's Forest. And based starting from here, they discussed the effects of war on the individual level, community level, on nations, countries. Yeah, they read articles and watch documentaries about the conflict in Ukraine, in Middle East, Africa. Also, what this conflict is affecting the individuals, the community, and the countries, and why millions and millions of people are immigrating into Europe. So this was the theory part. They started from a novel. They did some research. They looked into the actual situation in the world and how is this affecting everyone. And they took action. So they didn't stop at the information, right? At the learning objective, so to speak, the curricula. So what they did was to get in touch with an NGO that works with immigrants and refugees. And they find out that they have difficulties in integrating into the communities because they didn't know the language. So they didn't speak Romanian. So they thought to start a program, an online lessons, online conversations with them, with immigrants, in order to improve their skills in Romanian language, to help them to communicate better, so to better integrate into the community. Okay, so they started from a novel in the literature, they connected with the history and the history of war and whatever is going on into the world now, and then they took action and they did something for the actually refugees and immigrants we have here. So this is a service learning project, connecting the learning objective from the curricula with the actual action in the community, a service. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Very nice examples. I'm sure we have many examples in the room for many participants who are already doing service learning projects. But before going into the break and maybe have a chance during the breakout rooms to share some of your examples, let's discuss a little bit about the service learning standards, which are the main important element which combined they reveal the full potential of service learning projects. And I think somebody was asking questions in the chat. I don't know if before going to the standards, if there is any urgent question. Maybe somebody was asking if service learning is community-based learning. Yes, it's also community-based learning because we start from the real needs of the community as much as it is project-based learning. So it's in the intersection of it. So going back to the service learning standards, there are 6 service learning standards. One is curriculum connection, which Andrea was just explaining a few moments ago. It's reflection and participation and connection of the project with real needs, involvement outside the school, recognition and completion. And I'm sure you're wondering, what do you mean by these words? We're going to go over them one by one, so we make sure we understand what they exactly mean. I will also pass the floor back to Andrea to summarize the first 3, and then I will summarize the next 3. And before going that, standards mean the most important elements that they need to be somehow visible in action in any project that we consider service learning project. Andrea?
Thank you. So, yeah, let's take a look at these quality standards, right, of service learning projects. Curricular connection. We discussed already, or I show it to you into an example, how it happens. But the main point is that the lessons in schools, yeah, the learning objectives of the curriculum are used for the purpose of the project. And students are helped to make the connection between what they learn in various subjects in school and how can apply in various community contexts. Okay, so we connect the theory, what we learn in different subjects in school, even if it's math, language, arts, whatever, geography, with how can we apply this into real community context. But the curriculum, right? The school curriculum is the one that guides the project. Okay, you can go next. Reflection. So throughout the project, students are systematically guided to reflect on the effects of their actions in the community, but also on the internal changes, how they think, what they feel, how they react, what they learn, how they learn, okay? How they use what they learn in their daily life. So the aha moments, because they have, the development of the critical thinking and metacognitions on behalf of the students require the teacher to allocate enough time to reflect on the experiences of the students. So reflections is a very important step and a very important quality standard, we said, because it takes the time to reflect on what happens in your project, what happens in terms of actions, in terms of what you learn, in terms of where are you going with your project, and so on. Okay. Then the next one is participation. Okay, students in school, they need context where they can express their ideas, opinions, and they can make decisions, of course, followed by consequences in authentic context. Okay, they make decisions and they can face also the consequences of these decisions. Service learning projects allow students to take initiative, to interact with the community members, to learn about how society works or is not working, and see their ideas transform into reality. In the end, they are the ones who reflect and evaluate success and learn lessons. So it's all about participation. You know, you put your hands on, you do things, you get involved, you interact with the community, take decisions, have initiative, and so on. And then you reflect and evaluate your success and what you learned. Okay.
Thank you, Andrea. So until now, we went through the first three standards. Let's try to see if we all remember. First one, let's see who writes first in the chat is, what was the first standard? Ale, let me know if somebody wrote in the chat.
Not
First
yet.
standard. Curriculum connection, yes? The
Yes,
second one?
Gabriela said curriculum.
The second standard,
And
let's see who writes in the chat.
Reflection, we have
Reflection. We
many answers.
constantly doing reflection before the project starts. What do we want to learn during the project is happening, and at the end. And the third one
Participation.
was participation. Good job. Now we go to the next three. The second one is real needs. The service learning project is anchored in the real needs of the community. So that means the students identify and articulate the needs of the community through an investigative approach, meaning doing community analysis, going into the local community, do direct observations, interview, questionnaires, and only after that they decide what is more urgent, what is more relevant to address, what is more important, and how, going back to curriculum connection, how this correlates with the learning objective that we have in school. The fifth one is involvement outside the school. So the three main objectives of service learning project are changing teaching approaches and the culture of the school while strengthening community participation. So for all the objectives to be achieved, the project is important to take place outside of the school in collaboration with the community, other partners, experts, supporters, parents, NGOs, firms, city hall. So this is really important that the service learning projects are not actually designed to happen in the school necessarily as a community, but to get out from the school and involve other partners from the community. And why is that? Is because we're somehow enriching. So the students who are doing service learning projects, they become an inspiration for the local community, and the local community join the students. And this creates a very strong sense of community, which is highly motivational for students, teachers, and the entire community. And the last one is recognition and completion. So that means it's somehow related to the reflection that the students are guided to observe, reflect, report, and evaluate what effects was generated in the local community by the projects they did. Taking care to include the feedback of the local community. So because in service learning projects, the local community is so much involved, it's also important that the local community also reflect and celebrate with the students what they achieved, both in terms of learning results for students, but also both related to the impact that they have for the beneficiaries. And usually a service learning project ends up with celebration where everybody participate. And why celebration? Also because while we're celebrating, we're connecting, we're feeling that we're part of something bigger than us. And this is a very important drive for us. We're not meant to be alone, to live alone in the world. We're meant to live in groups. And this is very important. Let's see, let's summarize the last three. So we had curriculum connection, we had participation and reflection, and then the fourth, let's see who remembers, please write in the chat.
Real needs.
Real needs. The fifth one, involvement of the community
outside of the school.
Outside of the school. And it's important to say that the project is done with the community, not for the community. Please remember that, with the community. And the last one, recognition and completion. Ooh, we just crossed over the most difficult part of our presentation, understanding the service learning. And before going to break, we take 1 minute to see if there are any questions. Ale, let us know if there is something urgent to. Good. I see you're participating. Who defined the service learning standards? Where do they come from? I cannot say who exactly defined them as names, but service learning is coming from United States. And I think this is the place where they've been defined. But Felix, if you can help me with that, if you have a more specific answer.
I try. It's an evolution. So it's both service learning practitioners as well as NGOs promoting service learning, as well as academia working on these standards. And there are some very established actors who have defined 9 quality standards, but in our organization in Germany and also in many others in Europe, over the past decades or years, 6 were filtered and are kind of a consensus that these are the most important service learning quality standards. So it's not one person who one day just wrote down 6 quality standards, but it's the result of an evolution and many persons discussing about it.
Thank you, Felix. Eli is saying, so community should be involved from the beginning in the service learning process. Yes, it's true. And this comes with the standard of real community needs and working with the community. Even from the process of identifying what community need to address, the community is involved. Because in service learning, the students are not told, you have to do this. The students go in the community and ask the people, what do you really need? So we can provide you what you need. So the community is involved from the very beginning, just by saying what is the real need. And then they are involved in each stage of the project. And more about how they are involved in each stage of the project in the next webinar. Good, let's see. What else? Okay, I think the school is located in a community from where it draws its learners. As a result, it is easy to decipher the need of the community through interacting with the learner who represents the community. True. Sarah, ideally, it is the students who identify the need of the community. Yes, great. Good. Any possibility of sharing the PPT or video? Yes, the recording is going to be shared with you, and all the materials are going to be uploaded in the Nile platform about which is going to present it at the end of the presentation. So all it's presented is going to be available for you. Good. I will give the word to Ale to introduce us into the break.
Yeah.
Good. So now it's time for you for 10 minutes to take a break, drink some water, ask yourself what I understood by now, what questions are coming to my mind. And 10 minutes from now, you're coming back to the screen. Yes? See you in 10 minutes. We're looking to see what other comments you had in the chat in the meantime. See you in 10 minutes. Nine, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I hope it's back. Time is up. I hope you have water in your stomach, more energy for the next half of the presentation. Good. We'll start the second part of the session with a very small energizer. I would like you to open the camera so we can see you, because it's a fun, short exercise. You know, when the kids are doing like this, when they're very small and they're making fun. Okay, let's practice like this. If I say right, that means right hand, and you're doing like this, right. Yes, if I say left, you just do like this. Let's practice several times, yes, to make sure you are here. Left. Good. Right. Left and right. Aha. Good. You just connected with your inner child. That's good. You're still here with us. This is very important. Kids like to have fun while doing their service learning projects. So even if it's not defined as a standard element, but it's important to know that fun is also included while doing service learning projects. Good. I will start also with trying to answer some questions. So I'll invite also my colleagues who feel wants to answer the questions in the chat. Maria Ebner is saying the service learning project are anchored into the needs of the community. How can we identify these needs? There are different and several methods like community analysis, map, interviews, questionnaires, observations, but more we're going to tackle in webinar, which is going to be available on 10th of April, where we're going to actually go and understand different tools for different process, including this process of doing the community analysis. Somebody is saying if a school garden can be a service learning project. Even if in service learning project is important to get out of the community school, a service learning project could start in the community of a school. Yes, maybe for the first experience, the kids identify that actually the schoolyard is not green, it's not fun to be in the schoolyard, and they could start with a service learning, with a garden in their school. But it's important that in time, they understand they could go a little bit more out of the community. So the answer is yes, it could start like this, but it can be developed. And this comes with Marcus' contribution, which I find it really very relevant. He's saying that the quality standards should not be seen as a fixed set, but a flexible framework. Thank you, Marcus. This is very valuable, because maybe some of you already doing volunteering or some project-based learning, but we don't necessarily reach all the standards. Knowing the standard is important for us to know where we can go better, where we can, I don't know, maybe if we don't have members of the community involved in our first service learning project, at least we know that maybe in the next one we try to involve more members of the community. So it's a point of reference which helps us to reach the highest potential of a project. Good. Andrea is asking who defined the VUCA. I don't actually know, but maybe Felix or somebody else knows who defined the VUCA. I'm sure that can be easily found on the internet, but Felix, do you have any answers?
I would agree to what you just said, that it's probably easy to find it out, but I was confronted with the term a lot, but I don't know who specifically as an organization or person first came up with this term. Sorry.
Morion Schlatter says comes from the military, but I'm not sure if this your answer is related to that, but it's a good thing that you're curious and you can search a little bit more and let us also know. We're learning too. Good. Okay, the community is part of the decision-making process before, during, and even after the project. Somebody is saying it's true, it's important. Again, it's a desire to have the community involved in all the processes, but we can start simple and then try to make the project more advanced. And Ellie is saying, so service learning is focused primarily on the learning of the students, not on the learning of the community. Yes, it's true, but the learning of the community is coming as a consequence. So it's not only the students who are learning, but it's an effect. On long term, the community also is learning. Even the main focus of learning is on the students. Good. Fuca and Bani too. Somebody, look, it's great. Paula Freire is giving also answers. It's so exciting to see that you're contributing and you're active part of the training. And it's also a question related to, okay, actually, we'll go back to the last question. So the questions are still flowing. I will ask Ale to maybe summarize all of them and send it to me. And when you finish, we try to go back to the questions. Good. And now we're going to go to the practical part. We said we're going to work in breakout rooms. I'm going to do share screen. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. So we have 2 moments with breakout rooms. This is a moment to interact with other participants. So Ale is dividing you in random groups with 7 participants in one group. You have only 10 minutes because the time is short. And you need to read about 3 approaches. We talked about these approaches already. Is charity work, volunteering, project-based learning, and service learning. Read about the case studies. Ale is sending you a link in the chat right now. It's important for you to open the link now and keep it open. Save the link. And in these 10 minutes, discuss and decide which type of intervention this approach is. To be more clear, I'll just open the document myself so you understand what I'm talking about. So this is the document. So the link that Ale put it in the chat opens this document. What you need to do in 10 minutes, very quick, somebody from your group read out loud, approach A, approach B, and approach C, and very fast in your group decide. Approach A, what is it? Is it charity work? Is it service learning, project-based learning, or volunteering? And the same for each approaches. Is it clear? Give me a sign. So you read the approaches and try to identify where it fits. Charity, volunteering, service learning, or project-based learning. This is a practical exercise to make sure you got what we presented earlier. Good? The link is in the chat. Ale is preparing the breakout rooms, and we're just going to be sent directly there. And 1 minute before the Zoom closed, you're going to be notified. You have 1 more minute. So this is real life. Real life, take fast decision, democratic competencies. Go. See you in 10 minutes.
Just a second.
In case somebody is getting lost, or if you get out by mistake from the Zoom, Ale is going to be here and send you back. Yes? Good. Still working, still working. Sonia, sorry, I have to go out. I have a reunion. See you later. See you in the next webinars. Good. Save the link from the Zoom.
Just a few seconds. Thank you.
So this is first part, and then after you come back, we talk. And then we send you again in other breakout rooms to meet other people and have another task. We know that it was a fast exercise, but let's see if you managed to do the task. I will share the screen. And let's see what you discovered. Somebody from one group to tell us approach A, it was or is what type of intervention?
Volunteering.
Approach A, volunteering.
Charity.
Charity.
Charity work.
Charity,
Very
sorry.
good.
Charity, sorry.
Charity work.
Actually, you said both.
Uh-huh. It's kind of both, but it's more charity. So charity
Charity.
also could include volunteering act because you're doing that on a volunteer basis. So nobody is forcing you to do that. That's great. Approach B,
Volunteering.
Volunteering.
volunteering. Good job, everybody. I like it when you all say it in the same time.
Yeah.
You have the feeling of the community. And approach C,
Project-based
PBL.
learning.
PBL or
PBL.
project-based learning. Very good. Now let's go to a more complex task and meet other people.
Other
Okay.
people.
Other people, yes, this time other people.
So it will be another group.
Another group, yes. Now I will explain. Am I sharing the screen? Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for part C, we show, okay, fine.
Good. So now,
Da.
please unmute yourself if you're not speaking. And Ale is dividing us in other breakout rooms. She's putting another link. It's a case study too, which as you probably guessed, is a service learning approach. It will be easier to identify. But what you need to identify through which activities the 6 service learning standards are met. And I'm showing also the document to be more easier. Share screen now. So this is the document. Approach D is a little bit longer because service learning projects are a little bit more complex. And again, you have 12 minutes this time. Read it together and decide which part is correspondent to which service learning standard, right? Through which of the activities somehow underlining that the service learning standard is respected or is met. Yes? Good. I'll stop share screening. Please save the link to the case study. Make sure you open it. We can see Isabella Eva on the screen.
Okay, hello.
Welcome back.
Yes.
116. We are all.
I need more time for finish the work.
Yes, that's true. We know. You would need at least 30 minutes.
Hello, I'm hearing you, mas a mim não vou ter só qualquer, não é?
Let's mute. Okay, good. Welcome back. I can see Maria Pia Motini. Hello, Maria.
Hello.
Good. I can see that you kind of finished the task. It was the beginning, you know, like the trailer of the movie. After we talked about what service learning is in theory, this was a service learning project example with, for sure, it could be difficult to do it in 10 minutes, but the reason is just for you to start thinking. And let's see if you maybe had the chance to identify at least two elements.
The first one.
Which one?
The first?
Yes.
I think the first one is real needs.
Where, through which activity the real needs were identified?
I don't have the text here
If you remember.
on my computer. Because I read the text on the computer of my colleague.
Okay, so what you're saying that the service learning project example included the real needs. It was a real need with the real kids in a foster care center, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you identify how the involvement outside school happened? Any community partners were involved?
Yes. The fourth point.
So the staff of the foster center was involved, the kids were involved, some two experts were involved, so the community was involved.
Yes.
Did we had any recognition and completion activities?
The last one?
The last one, yes, they reflected on the
and then
competences.
Celebrate too.
And also celebrated. Did we had reflection?
Reflection, I'm not sure. I thought number 3.
When they reflected what competencies they have and what competencies they could develop. And
Yes.
also recognition and completion includes reflection.
Yes, it's a mix.
Yeah, it's mixed. Curriculum connection, could you find it?
The second one.
And participation?
And participation, I think the number 5.
Yes. And participation through it was everywhere. So the students were
Yes,
from
yes,
the
of
first
course.
moment to the last moment.
Even when they celebrate, they are participating.
True. Thank you, Maria, for your contribution.
Thank you too.
You're going to have this case study available also on the NILE platform with other resources, so you can have more time to explore it.
All right, thank you very much.
Just for you to open up and try to easily identify the potential service learning standards that could be reached.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now we'll go to the the last theoretical part of our meeting is the phases of a service learning project. You can see here a nice image with Carla, which is part of the Germany team, which you're going to meet in the self-study phase, where she's going to present you in a little bit more details each of the phases. I'm just summarizing what you actually see in the case study. The case study was somehow going through these phases, yes? So when we're starting a service learning project, we start with preparing ourselves as a teacher, preparing ourselves at the school to open up, to try this new approach in our school, if it's new with us. And we're initiating this, first trying to understand the methodology, what we're actually doing now, and then preparing the students to go through this process. How we're doing each of these stages, we're going to have a special webinar. What tools can we use in preparation? What tools we can use in initialization? What tools can we use when we're doing the research, when the students are researching what community needs to address? So one important phase is the research phase that you're seeing here, where students are guided by the teachers are doing the community analysis step, like going into a local community, doing research, doing interview, and then deciding what problem to address and to which curriculum objectives is connected. And they are start developing the project. They're having a plan. While developing the project, they are also planning their learning objectives, which is connected to the curriculum. And they are starting implementing. And you see the engagement curve. That means that the students are engaged through the whole duration of the project. And you also see reflection and content, which is also happening for the whole duration of interpretation. So let's see, in the project, the teacher is stopping from time to time, and we sit down and we see what progress we made, what we learned, what else we could learn, what improvements we can do for the community based on the project idea. And then is the completion, the last part, which you also identify in the example, which includes reflection on the impact of the project in the community, and reflection on the learning part, and celebration. But I'll stop here, yes. It's important if you remember an example, because an example helps you to go through the process. We're going to have 2 special webinars about practical tools. These are going to happen in April, practical tools that you can actually use in each stage as a teacher. As Felix was saying in the beginning, a service learning project can last from 2 weeks to 3 months. Yes, so these phases are in a longer timeline. Yes, it takes time. Good. And now I will give the word to Felix, to Lena, actually, to lead you to what is happening next. But first of that, I would like to summarize what we did today. So today, we got to know each other a little bit. We identified what is service learning. We have a very simple definition, which includes learning and engagement. Yes, 2 very important words when we talk about service learning. We identified what is the difference between project-based learning and service learning. We had some examples of project-based learning, service learning, and we understood these 2 elements, the learning and the community need. They are very much intercorrelated. And we identified, let's see how many service learning standards. How many?
6.
6 service learning standards, and we had some practical examples so we can understand the difference between charity, volunteering, service learning, and project-based learning. This is just the beginning. We just opened the Pandora box, or we just tasted the cake. let's see what's next for us in terms of self-study. Elena?
Okay, so as mentioned in the beginning of this meeting, we will use an online platform, an online learning platform, and it's called NILE. And it's run by a partner of ours here in Germany. So I put here in the chat the link where you can register, but you will also receive this information with our follow-up email with some more detailed information and screenshots on how to access and register. But it's important, you have to register there, and don't be afraid. Some fields, some items might be in German. It's run by our partner here in Germany, but all the essential information is available in English. So on the Nele platform, which I will show to you very quickly right now, then you will find basically two different things. One is the an online course for the already mentioned self-study phase. And the other thing is sort of a community space. It's our own project space. So let me show you what you will discover once you're registered. So this is our project space. Here later on, for example, you will find all the information about the other webinars, the schedule, the Zoom links, and so on. You can access them through here. You have the possibility to use the chat function, which can be interesting so that you can stay in touch, for example, with the people you just started having good day discussions with in the breakout sessions. And here you have the participants. So please join and make this group bigger. Then let me show you very quickly. I know we're running out of time, but let me just show you very quickly. You will have this butterfly icon with the Service Learning for Democracy course, online course. So once you get there, you have this overview, but then you also find here the different lessons. So that is the structure of the self-study phase. And I'm just gonna click into the first one. So you can see, you see Carla again. No, it's gone. This is bad timing, but well, you just saw it. Let me stop the sharing. This is where you will find like the information for the different lessons with video material, with quizzes, and so on. And in this first section that I just showed you is also a link to this learning guide. This is a document we would ask you to download and print out so you can take notes for yourself. But we will also explain it again in the follow-up email. So very, very quickly, and before we say goodbye, just an outlook, and the self-study phase starts right now and goes on until the webinar 2 of the first module, which is on February 7th. So you have 2 weeks.
Thank you very much, Lena. So what is Lena actually proposing is to take a bigger taste of a very nice cake that they prepared. Very interactive and cool materials, which you can actually look because they include videos, and it's fun to look at it. Good. Tomorrow you're going to receive a newsletter with the link to the platform how you're going to get there. I would like Ale to share the last Mentimeter presentation with a few information, and in 2 minutes we're going to close our first webinar. And we have questions here. When will the module 1 end? How much webinars per modules? I'm coming right now with the information after Ale sharing the Mentimeter. Good. Next webinar is 7th of February. So get ready now for self-study phase. You're going to receive tomorrow the information by email. Second webinar is 7th of February, the same time, where we're going to go a little bit more into details. And also we have webinar 5, January 31st, supporting service learning as a school leader. So if some of you are school leaders, you're going to receive also an invitation for this webinar. But even if you're not a school leader, you are welcome to this webinar. Good. What is important to know technically is that for each Zoom webinar, we're going to just fill your data so we have access to you, as you did also right now. Next slide. Good. You're going to take some individual time for reflection. Keep it for yourself. What would be some aha moments or understandings and ideas? Do your internal process of reflecting, and we also have a final evaluation, which would be very much appreciated, Ale, if you can offer our opinion. Since this training is led by 7 organizations, actually, it would be grateful if you can share your feedback to us. There is a link in the Zoom to fill out the questionnaire. It will take you maximum 2 minutes. You just have to click it, and your evaluation would be deeply appreciated because it gives us a hint of what we can do better. Some of you're already giving feedback on the Mentimeter with likes is very much appreciated. So go to the link in the chat, is the evaluation form of the webinar. Thank you very much for your feedback. And if Ale, if you can go to the last slide. Last information is us thanking you for taking your time. You also have the Facebook page of the SLEAD project where you can join and be with us in contact much closely. And again, tomorrow you receive the follow-up newsletter with the recording, presentation, access to the evaluation form in case you don't manage to do it now. It will be very much appreciated if you can take your minutes to do it now. And also you have our email address in case you have specific question.
Some people says the link doesn't work in the chat. The link to the
That's strange, but in case it's not working, don't worry. Tomorrow you receive the newsletter from us, and it would be appreciated if in 1 minute you can fill the evaluation form. Ale, can you put again the link? SurveyMonkey.
Yep.
Because it's a question. It's working.
It should look like this. And you will start, you need to press OK, and then you will see the questions.
That's strange. Maybe for some of you it's not working. I'm not sure why, but for others are working. No problem. You'll receive the link again tomorrow, and we deeply appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time today. It would be lovely if you can open your microphone and say good night or good day in your own language.
Bye bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Next time.
Good night.
Thank you, Ustad. Bye.
Bye.
Obrigado.
Bye.